Welcome to Permission to Kick Ass, the show that gives you a virtual seat at the bar for the real conversations that happen between entrepreneurs. I'm interviewing all kinds of business owners, from those just a few years into freelancing to CEOs helming 9-figure companies. If you've ever worried that everyone else just seems to get it and you're missing something or messing things up, this show is for you. I'm your host, Angie Coley, and let's get to it. Hey, and welcome back to Permission to Kick Ass. With me today is my new friend, Dr. Meghna Dassani. Say hi.
What is up, girl?
We were bonding a little bit beforehand about this weird, like, ships passing in the night moment that we had, because I used to live in the place where you currently have your practice and was like, so we got introduced by a third party, didn't even know we were in the same town. I love it. Such a small world.
It was meant to be. What can we say?
Tell us more about your business.
So I am a dentist, and as I get told by so many patients every single day, I am nobody's favorite person. No, actually I am.
Oh no.
Yes, it's amazing how many people fear the dentist, and they get into my chair and they say, "No offense, doc, but I hate the dentist." And I've come to realize it's not personal. It's not me that they hate. It's the chair. It's the chair that you sit in, which you associate with discomfort. But so yes, I'm a dentist, and a huge portion of my practice focuses on sleep apnea treatments for adults, for children. And what can I say? I'm in the business of saving lives.
Yes, absolutely. And that's why I was so excited when our mutual friend, Trisha Brooke, hi, Trisha, introduced us and told me about the mission that you were on with your business, which, you know, is dentistry and so much more, like, to the nth degree. That's why I was laughing. I almost gave it away. I wish you were my dentist when I was down there. But it's really interesting because I'm not one of those people that was ever really scared of it. It was just never a huge priority. So I imagine you've developed tools to help people get comfortable with the chair.
You know what? I have always approached this from the aspect of I treat people in my chair the way I would want to be treated, in a place that is associated with pain, fear, discomfort, whatever you may call it. And a lot of it comes from experiences in the past, or just people that like knowing what's going to happen. So I found when you come at this and approach people with empathy, understanding, and give them the space to be who they are, suddenly you have people that actually enjoy meeting you as their dentist. So, I can proudly say a lot of these patients have become very close friends, and I get to see generations. I've seen them, their families, their children. We get to see them through pregnancy, birth, all of that.
Oh, that's so great. I think that's something that I want to be more of a discussion in entrepreneurial circles about, how empathy is a superpower. It's not just a buzzword. You can really put yourself in somebody else's shoes and understand what it's like to be them. Then you lose a lot of that impatience and that frustration that winds up, getting so big that we get frustrated and we lash out, or we say something unexpected in the heat of the moment. We lose customers and get 1 stars and all of that jazz. But when you can really, I always think it's twofold whenever there's hurt feelings or there's frustration or there's fear. There's empathy, and then there's the understanding and setting expectations. And I love that you brought up both of those, because if they know that you understand their position and you're not judging them for it, and you want to make it as easy and comfortable for them as possible, and here's what to expect every step of the way. I just want you to be informed. I just want you to be comfortable. I don't know if those are the exact words that you use, but like, think about how much more reassuring that is when you're dealing with a professional. And I'm saying this applies to any professional out there. I don't care if you're a doctor. I don't care if you're a writer. I don't care if you're a truck driver. Like, if you are being that level of understanding with someone and understanding their frustration and their fears, and then letting them know what to expect, that's the foundation for a great and lasting relationship. And in this case, generations. Oh my God, that's great.
For sure, for sure. When I hire new team members, that's one of the first things. Our culture is, we are a no judgment zone. So you can walk into my office with a completely bombed out mouth, or as we get into the topic of sleep apnea, just the awareness that, oh my gosh, how come I didn't know this? Or why didn't I address this sooner? And you'll be amazed at how many moms come to me with children. We're slowly even going down the narrower niche of actually treating children with sleep issues. And moms come to me with this sense of guilt. It's like, I did
Mm,
something wrong. How did I not figure this out? How did I not know? Is it something I did when I was pregnant? Did I eat or not eat or drink or
mm,
not drink enough, I don't know, water, milk, whatever it is that they want to blame themselves for?
mm-hmm.
And no judgment here, Mama. I will sit here and tell you I have made every mistake you think you've made, and then some. So, and I should have known better. I'm a doctor, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
We're all just humans trying to do the best we can with what we've got.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah. And if you approach all of your interactions like that, I think you'll find it's easier. Well, you and I both know about Houston traffic being from around this area. But somebody that used to ride with me regularly used to challenge me on the fact that I'm pretty much imperturbable on Houston highways. And they're like, with all these crazies driving around, why are you just sitting here calm? Because I'm leaving space and they must be having a day and it's not about me and it really doesn't matter. So I'm just going to crank up the happy tunes and keep my eyes on the road here. You can't bother me. It's not about me.
Amen to that. Yes.
Well, it's interesting. So I know that you've been in business for a while, but what made you decide to look into sleep apnea, or how did you get involved with that?
I always say our biggest missions and we realize our whys. Typically, it comes from great personal loss.
Mm.
And that's exactly what it was. We lost a family member to sleep apnea. And unfortunately, this was about 22 years ago. And
Mm-hmm.
at that time, and yes, I was a dentist back then too. I used to practice in India. The consistent answer we got was, this is genetics. It's genetics. And even then I knew that wasn't the answer. That just, surely that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
With all the advances in the research and all the amazingness we do in medicine, there has to be more. And the more I dug, the more questions I asked, sleep apnea came out to be the consistent common factor. Now, let's remember this, 22 years, 25 years ago, back home in India, yes, we're a developed country, but we're still a third world country. CPAPs weren't all that common. My dad snored. Thank goodness we still have him. And I always thought it was funny because he made all these silly noises when he was asleep. Who knew the health effects of all of this? And that, when I moved to the US, got finished dental school, bought my practice, I still had this in the back of my head. I was like, I have to figure this out. I'll be honest here. I tell everybody this. My sole focus at that point was, I'm going to be selfish. I don't ever want my family to go through this ever again. That was the only reason. I'm like, I need answers. Nobody had been able to give me these answers for all these years. And the more I dug into this, the more I went down this rabbit hole. I realized, yes, I figured I was getting the answers I was looking for, but I also realized that there were other people that were suffering that didn't know there was a solution. And as I'm fond of saying, my family grew. It grew into my office manager's dad, who had sleep apnea and didn't know there was a solution because he could not tolerate his CPAP. It grew to encompass my UPS guy, my favorite patient, the State Farm agent next door, and they're, you know what I mean? You just,
so awesome.
Your family grows. And how can I not take care of these people? How can I not want them to live the best quality life? How could I? And then it took a life of its own. And as we got into this, I had a patient stop me one day and he said, "Hey, doc, you helped me with my snoring. My grandson snores too. Can you fix him?" And then Christina, my office manager, who's been with me for 13 years now, her daughter, she was pregnant with Avery when she started working with me. We realized she had sleep apnea, she had sleep issues, and it stopped me in my tracks. And I said, oh my gosh, we're missing out an entire demographic of the population. I can fix adults when they're adults, but goodness me, I can actually address this in a growing child. So hopefully they don't have to deal with this as adults and live with everything else that comes with it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just been this fun journey ever since. You go through the ups and downs, people looking at me like, what? You're crazy. I've had
Mm-hmm.
doctors tell me, I approached a pediatrician once and she said, why don't you just stick to cleaning teeth? Leave this to us. And I'm going, it was so nice to meet you. Next, I ain't going to waste my energy on you.
You said it so much nicer than I would. Oh my God. Like, of course, they're not going to see this video, but like my eyes got real big and I was like, what? This. But you said so many great things just then too. And one was like, I know that we talk in entrepreneurship a lot about passion and following your passion, but I can see a clear line about how you followed this passion, this interest, this desire for answers down a path that led to, I love that you talked about your family growing, because that's another thing that I know new entrepreneurs struggle with is like, how do I sell? I'm like, notice for those of you listening that this was a completely different energy. It wasn't how do I sell people on my new sleep apnea service? It was, I want to solve this problem. Oh, you're snoring? I can help with that. I can help with that. And then, hey, doc, you helped me with my snoring. Do you think that that's what this person could be dealing with? Could you help me with that? And I know I have a personal, I was telling you right before we started recording, this is the big reveal, guys. For those of you that don't know that I have sleep apnea, that's a condition that I have been in treatment for the last 4 years. And it's interesting because I got diagnosed in about 2016, but I had a lot of resistance to wearing the CPAP, and I felt like I was not getting as restful sleep, like I was being because it's getting tangled in all of the equipment and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I also had a partner at home who just assumed that I was sleeping all the time, I was napping all the time because I was lazy, and he didn't think that there was an underlying medical condition. So a lot of that stigma and that discomfort contributed to me delaying treatment for probably a couple of years. And I'll even say this, that like when I got re-diagnosed in 2018 and got the equipment and I dedicated myself this time, I'm just going to make it past that uncomfortable stage where I'm going to get tangled in everything and I'm going to see how it goes. The first time the power was out because a hurricane was moving through and I could not use my machine for that night, that was when I could tell how much it had been helping me. But it wasn't until I had been through the process for a while that I could notice the difference. So I don't know, it's been an interesting journey for me. And I'm sure that you hear stories like that and even even more dramatic all the time.
Oh, yes. It is not uncommon to have families just bawling their eyes out because it's usually the wives that'll bring their husbands in because, the wife is tired of the snoring. Mm-hmm. And witnessing your loved one actually stop breathing is pretty scary. It is extremely scary. For your listeners, if you don't mind, I'll chime in and say sleep apnea is when a person stops breathing for 10 seconds or longer, multiple times throughout the night. And snoring is one of the most common symptoms that we know is associated with all of these health issues. But when you're actually witnessing a loved one stop breathing, it is scary as heck. So it's not uncommon to have spouses bring in loved ones because, for one, not only is this person that's snoring not getting a good night's rest, but the person that's in the bed next to them isn't either because it's keeping them up. Mm-hmm. And then on the flip side, you address the sleep apnea, and then the wife is still in my office crying because she's now like, oh my gosh, I don't hear him snoring. Is he okay? She's so conditioned to that. And yes, the CPAP is the gold standard, but thankfully you're able to tolerate it and use it. There are so many people that aren't able to use it. And that's where, again, not very common knowledge, the dentist can help them with an oral appliance that is made to fit their mouth, keeps the airway open. You got to breathe. You just got to breathe. There's no two ways about it.
Absolutely. I think mine was a little bit more hard to catch too, in that instance that I'm not actually a snorer. My dad does have sleep apnea too, and he was like a chainsaw at night. So when he got diagnosed, I don't think any of us was surprised, but I was a quiet sleeper, mouth open, and just would stop breathing. And that was what scared my last partner enough to be like, yeah, I think you do need to go checked out for this. And I went for the sleep study and all that. And now I'm hearing this and going, maybe I need to make an appointment with you while I'm here in Texas. We'll get that back up. But like, all of this ties in from, and you guys are probably hearing me going like, we're talking about sleep apnea. And what does this have to do with the entrepreneurial podcast?
Mhm.
It's all interconnected, guys. And when we focus on one area to the detriment of another, I think we're doing ourselves a disservice. Your health is tied into how well you can conduct business. Like, think about how you operate on a short fuse when you're hangry. Hangry is a word for a reason now, right? So if you're not getting rest, if you're not breathing enough during the night, if you're not getting food, if you're not getting exercise and rest, all of this contributes to you not showing up as your best self. And as corny as that might sound, showing up as your best self, if you are your business, you got to show up as your best self. You got to take care of you. And that's why I thought, when Trisha introduced us, that I was like, yes, let's have this conversation. Let's talk about health and wellness and missions and how it all ties together. I love it. So this is interesting too, because I know that this has led to you becoming a speaker. And how does that work in and around your business too? I'm kind of curious.
Again, that has been a rocky path, for lack of a better word. I kept thinking about, oh my gosh, how many stories, what stories can I share with her as we were connecting over the past week or so, preparing for today's meeting. And at the end of the day, I'm a dentist. Mm-hmm. My basic training, right? What I was trained to do, what I went to school for, was to drill, fill, and pull teeth, right? Mm-hmm. That's literally what we do. We save teeth. And then coming out, like I mentioned with the pediatrician that said something, focusing on, creating relationships with other sleep professionals, medical professionals, has been an uphill battle. And look at the flip side of talking to patients about this. Patients that have so far, for example, let's assume you came into my practice. You've been seeing me for the past whatever years for your cleaning and if you need a cavity filled. And now suddenly I was like, hey, so do you snore? How are you sleeping? I can't tell you how many people go, why? Like, what does this have to do with my teeth? Or worse, what do you want to sell me now?
Yeah.
Ugh. And instead of being discouraged, I decided I had to take this and take it to the people. I had to take this message beyond just the four walls of my practice. That is a safer place, I'll be honest. Mm-hmm. It's easier to stay within my four walls with a team that adores me, with patients that absolutely love me and trust me. But to go out into the world and actually spread this message and tell moms, hey, if your child is sleeping with their mouth open, if they're a mouth breather, we might have a problem. Or a new mom that has trouble breastfeeding, that might be a problem. Or a child that has crooked teeth, that might be a problem. A child that's being diagnosed with ADHD, look further, because it's easier to get a prescription, is it not?
Yes.
Everybody wants the magic pill. Everybody wants, can you give me a script that I can take to the pharmacy and get it filled so that I can feel better, or, XYZ, check the boxes for that child or that person feeling better. Mm-hmm. So for me to be able to spread this message, I decided I had to get on bigger stages. I had to put myself in front of people, and it comes with the good and the bad. Mm-hmm. But I could not do it. Once you know it, I have two girls. I have two teenagers. I was unable to breastfeed either child because both of them had tongue ties. I'm a doctor. I should have known this. There just wasn't enough education for us in dental school. So I know that everyday people don't have access to this. It's getting better. Hence the decision, I'm going to put myself out there, and we're going to speak about this. We're going to spread the word. We're going to raise awareness, educate, empower parents with that knowledge there's hope, something can be done.
Yeah. Oh, I love all of that so much. That's another condition that I was actually diagnosed with last year that I haven't talked about a whole lot publicly, but I am also diagnosed ADHD. And at this point, it's interesting because you mentioned the ease of medication that will make me feel better. And it's become this whole ordeal because there are currently backlogs with medication production. And then my history and background as a digital nomad complicates things because they see me filling prescriptions at different pharmacies as suspicious somehow, even though I'm
Red
not.
flag. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not losing anything. I'm not coming in early to fill prescriptions. I'm not doing anything of that nature. I'm just filling them in different places because I work on the road. But all of that has contributed to the med that did help me initially is now causing way more stress and frustration than I feel I'm getting benefit from the medication. So I've actually been looking for different solutions lately, including supplements, hypnotherapy, anything but the meds, because I am tired of that. So it's interesting because I won't say that I've faced kind of the same amount of people going, what in the hell are you doing? But there are people that are like, why are you giving up the meds? Why are you doing this different path? Why are you making it more difficult for yourself? And I'm like, sometimes you just know that you've got to. And I wrote down something that I circled that really just kind of hit me like a punch to the gut, that it was easier to stay in your four walls with people that love you, but you knew that you had to get this out there. That's so good. It's so good. So yeah, everybody that's listening, sometimes you got to do the hard thing that you're called to do, even if everybody else around you is going, why are you doing that?
For sure. It's, stay within your lane, drill, fill, pull teeth, there's enough in dentistry that's exciting, but if you've discovered your why, and you don't take big actions and big steps to actually work towards it, not only are you doing the world a disservice, you're doing yourself a disservice.
Mm-hmm.
And those around you. So at this point, sleep awareness, treating sleep in adults and children is my team's legacy. It's beyond just me at this point. And this is something they proudly have taken, picked this up and said, we're going to do this. And there are days where it's like, I'm tired today. Get off your ass, doc. Let's go. We got lives to say. Am I allowed to say ass? But
yes.
I don't care if you sign the paycheck. Let's go. We got things to do.
Mm-hmm. And as in some small way, I kind of see this show that way too. Like, get off your ass, Angie. We got lives to save. Entrepreneurs are community builders. They're world builders. They prop up local economies. They generate money. They create generational wealth. They employ people. Like, there is so much good that comes from somebody sticking their neck out there and taking the risk of starting a business. And let's be clear, it's a risk to start a business. There are so many things that could go wrong and so many confusing things and people telling you have to do that. You can't do that. This is the new thing. That's the new thing. But there is something to be said for trusting your gut and trusting that as long as you're taking actions in service of the people that you're trying to help solve problems for, that the answers will reveal themselves once you get out there and get off your ass, because we got lives to save.
There we go. And throw into the mix an immigrant that moved here 22 years ago with an accent. The initial parts of my career was filled with so-called, and I say this in air quotes, coaches telling me I would never amount to anything, never be able to get my message out there because, list the reasons that people want to attach to you. You're to this, or your accent is to that, or whatever it may be. And it's a lot easier to accept those labels that people want to put on us. But like you said earlier, when your why is bigger, when you know that, like we just said earlier, we got lives to change. We got things to do. You got to just wave them off and move on.
Exactly. And, I want to challenge everybody listening to this to think of your job, your career that you've built for yourself as an entrepreneur, as a life-saving business. You may not be cutting somebody open. You may not be treating a condition like Dr. Meghna is, but you're bringing someone joy, or you're solving a problem that had them at a standstill. Or, if you're a consultant, you're helping somebody unblock something in their business and grow so they can be that person that props up the community and brings wealth and jobs to people. So like, in a way, if we use that creative stretch, right, we're all out here in the business of helping people save lives. I can even tie this. This is going to be wonderful and idiotic, and I love it. But one of the things I've obsessed about on this show is zorbing. And if you're not familiar with zorbing, it's basically putting yourself in a giant plastic bubble and rolling down a hill. arguably not saving anybody's life from anything, might even be like endangering somebody to a certain point, asterisk, disclaimer, whatever. But what if somebody just needed a little spark of joy to continue doing what they were doing? You know, they were on the verge of giving something up and they just had so much fun today that they remembered that it's worth it to get up and try again. Hell yeah, putting yourself in a plastic bubble and throwing yourself down the hill is saving lives. So I'm going to make that stretch.
Sometimes it's your own life, right? Now I want to do this. I put myself into that bubble and roll down a hill.
Me too. I still haven't done it after everything that I've done on the road. I still haven't gone zorbing. We're going to have to make that date and go do that. But like,
there we go.
To bring it back to, you know, the mission that you're on to help people, like, you don't necessarily need to literally be helping people save their lives like Dr. Meghna, but if you are following that thing that you're called to do, then just ignore everybody else. And I know that that's so much easier said than done, but tap into whatever you got to do to keep following your heart, because those are the people that are going to say at the end of the road, oh, I knew her back when. I knew her when she was just, I believed in her the entire time. Yeah, sure. Okay. You tell yourself that story, and we know the real truth here, that I had to carry myself all this way, but that's fine. You got me and Dr. Meghna over here believing in you. You can do it.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. So, well, I know, are you at the beginning end of the speaker career? Because I know that's how we met, through Trisha, and she coaches people to be on TED stages, and I have a goal to be on a TED stage too. So tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So I just did TEDx Women, Deer Park, in November.
Yay!
Super exciting. Yes. And then I spoke at Oxford as well in December.
Ooh.
I did Oxford Talks. So, you know, I've been speaking in the dental world for the last 5 years or so. Mm-hmm. But like I mentioned earlier, it was time to step out and into the big, scary world. But that's where my why is. That's my passion. That's what I want to do. So yes, tiptoeing my world, putting those first baby steps out into the world, but this message has to go out.
It does too. And, you know, I'm interested, I'm going to throw you a bit of a curveball here too, but, you know, arguably dentistry, and granted, my knowledge of this is very limited, and it's limited to my experience in a chair, right? Feel free to correct me if I get anything wrong, but it was like, it strikes me as something very skilled, very technical, a lot of science, a lot of math. That wouldn't be something that people necessarily associate with something a little bit more creative, like speaking. And so I'm just interested in the process of how you translate this wealth of incredible life-saving technical knowledge into something that you know is going to change people's lives. And they're not doctors, you know, they're just listening.
Yeah, for sure. So the how it's done is going to be left to the profession, right? My goal is to spread knowledge and empower parents, especially. My big why is pediatric sleep apnea, kids with these sleep issues. I want to empower parents to what to look for, what questions to ask, who are you going to ask these questions of? Yeah. And it's okay to get second, third, fourth opinions if you're not happy with the answers you're getting. Because I tell moms this, nobody knows your child better than you do. Yep. And if you think something is wrong, ask. If I know I didn't get the knowledge when I was in dental school, and I've been through dental school twice, go find another provider. Ask your best friend. She might know somebody, or talk to your neighbor, but ask questions of different providers. And my goal is to empower parents. I want them to know what to look for, so you know what kind of questions to ask, who to ask these questions of, and how you can help your child. You want to be your child's advocate, but you can't be an advocate if you don't know what you don't know. Yeah. Oh, that's such a great place to start too, because I feel like so many of us shut down when we go to solve problems because it's like, I don't really know. I have so many questions. I don't know who to ask. And I know that there are a lot of folks, you know, I'm going to go down the medical path here, but there are a lot of folks that struggle to even go see a doctor because they don't know if they're going to be taken seriously. They don't know what questions to ask about their health.
So I'm glad that you mentioned that word empower. Like, I feel like we're using all the great E words: empathy, expectations, empowerment, all of this, just starting the discussion, whether people get where you're going or not, I think is going to have the people out there who need this message raising their hand going, oh my God, thank you so much. I appreciate you. It's fantastic. So what are the big plans now that you are out there putting this in? And it's okay if you don't have an answer for this yet, but if you do, I want to hear it. I want people to follow you on this journey.
There's more big stages coming up. I don't know that I'm allowed to exactly share those. As soon as I know, you'll be the first I text. I have a book coming out in March. It's called The Tired Child. Can you guess what it's for? So that's what's going to take up a lot of my next few months, because there's going to be a huge, huge movement towards what I call the healthy sleep revolution, towards empowering everybody, not just kids, but even adults. We want to sleep. We want to be able to get good quality sleep. And unfortunately, what I find is, along with the lack of knowledge as to, what it should look like or what help you can get, I find more and more people gravitating towards, oh, let me just pop a pill. I'm going to take some melatonin, or that one. It's going to help me sleep. And I have parents walking going, oh, I give my child 2 of those gummies or whatever it may be. Well, just because it's a gummy doesn't mean it's safe. Yeah. Melatonin is a hormone. And I've gotten to the point where I tell mom, so if we had, I don't know, estrogen in gummy form, would you give it to your toddler or would you take it? And they're horrified. They're like, no way. But why would you do it with melatonin? What is it again? Band-Aid. We don't want Band-Aids. Yep. So we got to lead this revolution towards healthy sleep.
Yes, I'm loving this. And, here's another curveball. So what do you see for the future of your practice as you continue to go out there and lead this mission?
Being able to help as many patients as I can, I'll be honest. We actually, my team had me and I laugh because, with all the speaking and the teaching, I coach other doctors on this as well. The big 5-year plan, and I say this in air quotes, was for me to cut down on clinical hours and have, other doctors come in and help out in the practice so that I can do this. There's only so much time. I'm still a mommy, We ended up adding clinical hours for me this year just because there are patients that need to be seen. But this is something that brings me so much joy. I am one that does not dread Monday mornings. I love Mondays because I get to go into work. I get to do what I love doing alongside people that I absolutely adore. I love my team. And life can't be any better.
I love that. My business partner, Chris, often refers to that as, if you do it right, work is the adult playground. And that is something that you don't dread doing because you go into it having so much fun. I am a process nerd and I am a people nerd. Like, I love coaching people and helping them develop their skills. And so anytime you put me into an arena where I'm coaching somebody through a really hard emotional problem, or I'm having to figure out what order do all these pieces go in and how can we automate and systematize this, playing in my happy place. And other people may not understand that at all, but that I don't have a problem, same as you, getting up Monday morning and going to work on that because that's exciting stuff for me. And I wish that for everybody out there, that you find that mission that brings you joy, that you find the work that is your adult playground. This makes me so happy. So awesome. Tell us more where we can learn more about the practice. And I'm going to make sure that they have clickable links to everything. So share it all.
My website is just my name, meghnadassani.com. The office is Dassani Dentistry. We are located in Clear Lake, right next, very close to NASA, actually, in the Houston area. Instagram, Facebook, the handle is Healthy Sleep Revolution.
Yes.
And we are super active on social media, just doing whatever we can to spread the word. I get tons and tons of messages on Facebook and Instagram from moms, parents, spouses, asking for help. We try the best to direct you to where you are. We have people fly in from across the country to get help.
Mm-hmm.
I
love that.
We'll do whatever we can. Yeah, we'll do whatever we can to help you find a doctor next to you, help you in whatever way we can. But I personally read all of those emails, messages. So if there's anything that I can ever help anybody with, I'm there.
Oh, that's amazing. And I'm co-signing, I'm underscoring this. I'm putting a big red flashing sign above it that if you are feeling tired or you notice that you have struggled to have energy, like me, my sign was that constant naps throughout the day. I think I'd have to take like 3 or 4 naps throughout the day, little power naps to keep going. If you're not feeling rested and you're not bringing your best self and you're aggravated and emotional eating and all that stuff, go get seen. Call Dr. Meghna, call your local doctor, do what you have to do to take charge of your health, empower yourself, ask questions. The value of your health just cannot be understated. And I'm so glad to have had you on the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. What a fun conversation.
That's all for now. If you want to keep that kick-ass energy high, please take a minute to share this episode with someone that might need a high-octane dose of "you can do it." Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the Permission to Kick-Ass podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you stream your podcasts. I'm your host, Angie Coley, and I'm here rooting for you. Thanks for listening, and let's go kick some ass.